Greetings everyone and welcome back to Sanford Heart. I'm Ed West and we have a great interview lined up for you today. It's the story of loss and love. Loss during the flood and the love that occurred during the rebuilding of that flood between a very special couple. So stay tuned, it'll be a great interview. We're here today with Shelly Sampier and her fiance, Joe Pillars. We're really happy to be here today. There's a great story here and they've graciously agreed to give us a little bit of time here today. So, Shelly, I know that your home was totally destroyed during the flood, is that correct? And this is all new here?
Yes.
But I know there's a couple items you have here, these flags, that are very special. And can you tell us the story of the flags?
One flag is my dad's. He's a veteran in World War II. And one flag was my son's that was murdered 12 years ago, but not in the military. And I got his ashes from my house.
So
they were damaged in the flood.
The flood took...
The flags were damaged in the flood. I mean, they were full of mud and everything. And so some of the volunteers, their family had a dry cleaner, so they took them to the dry cleaners, had them dry cleaned, had a veteran re-forward them, and then they brought them back to me.
Well, and how long did all that take to get them back?
It was probably about 4 months, maybe.
And do you want to give a shout out to somebody who helped you with this?
Denise, I don't know her last name, but they're here volunteering, helping me with my house to clean it out, and they took them to a family's dry cleaners, and then she brought them back to me when I was staying at the motel.
So they're very precious to you.
Yes.
And were there other things that you could recover, or?
I recovered one tote of my son's belongings that were up in the top shelf of my cupboard in the tote. Not very much else.
So where were they actually recovered from, do you know?
They're out in this big room out here. And a lot of mud. And the water, they're just a mess. And so they took them and brought them back to me. And some veteran, they forwarded them.
So in the rebuilding of your home here, I know there's been a lot of people involved.
Right.
Can you tell us who some of the main people were that helped you here?
There's so many main people. Emily, Teresa.
Emily Rickards?
Yes.
And Teresa Quintana?
Yeah. And her boyfriend Mike, he helped in my house a lot. I started out with Samaritan Purse, and my lawn care guy came with his pastor from his church from Freeland. Jackie from Messiah Lutheran. There's just numerous church groups and a veterans group. The skilled trades group was here from the Boilermakers, and then Joe's group was here from a church in Lapeer,
Hillside Discipleship Church. Yeah.
And they came to build sheds, and mine was the first one being built, so he built my shed, and then I didn't see him for a few months, and then he came back to do drywalling, and with Rick Hatfield, he's one of the main ones that leads a lot of different crews and do a lot of work for people. And I've had so many people help me, I just don't even know where to start.
And was it difficult to accept help for you?
Yeah, I'm not one to ask for help. So it was very difficult, and then having to go through all of the different agencies, and kind of feels like you're welfare or something, and so that was very difficult for me.
But you've now got your house was completely demolished,
Right.
destroyed.
Right. It was gutted to the studs. There was water up to the eaves troughs. So it was in bad shape.
And didn't you tell me that you were actually advised to not rebuild?
No, I didn't want to rebuild. I just about had it tore down because all I seen was work and money. Every time I came here, I didn't even want to come here. So I was going to have it tore down, but Emily talked me out of it. And so we worked and worked and worked. And finally, after 8 months, I made it back home.
8 months you were gone.
Yes. 3 motels, an apartment, and then back home.
How does it feel to be back home?
Feels wonderful. Very wonderful.
I'm sure. In this whole process, Shelly, what do you think's been the most difficult thing for you?
I think working through all the different agencies, it was very frustrating sometimes. You know, like FEMA only allows you to fax paperwork and stuff, and how are you going to fax paperwork when you don't have any office equipment because you don't even have anything to your name, you know?
Right.
So that's something that's very difficult. And talking on the phone to all these different agencies, they all think that they're the only one, but there's numerous agencies you have to go through. So it gets very stressful.
Tell us how this relationship developed between you and Joe.
Well, like I said, he came here in August, I think, to build the first sheds. And so they built my shed, and then I didn't see him until, that was like in August, and then he came back in December to do drywalling. And then he's just been here ever since. So we just had a lot in common and struck it off, and now we're getting married.
So when is the wedding? Is when?
It'll be the week after Easter. We're flying out to Colorado. It looks like it may be on Wednesday the 7th, but we don't have a specific date, but it'll be that week for sure.
So what was it about Shelly that attracted you to her?
Well, of course, at first sight in August, when I come to build the shed, I saw her. She was very pretty, and that was obvious. And then as I came back and working with her and getting to know her, I saw that she was handling a lot of things as though she was having to be a general contractor or a project manager to attend to all the things being done at the house. And I was only doing a portion of it. There was other groups involved, and she was attending to all of that, and at the same time, you know, getting the funding for that. And so she impressed me with her abilities, and as I got to know her heart, I realized that she's as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. And like I said, we're very similar. We have very similar lifestyles, very similar eating habits, for example. And so it's been just a natural fit.
So Shelly, from your viewpoint, what do you think it was about Joe that attracted you to him?
He just kind of like took over and it was like God sent him, you know. He was just a godsend.
Well, you can certainly tell just sitting here that there's a lot of love here between the two of you. It's really touching. It's really touching.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, Shelly or Joe?
Well, I just think that, you know, there was a lot involved in us even getting to meet each other. And, you know, it started out with me being formerly from Lapeer, coming up with my church, Hillside Discipleship Church, to work and assist somehow. And in fact, things have just gone step by step. We thought we were coming up to serve food in the village of Sanford the very first day, and we got a call saying, you know, we have plenty of people to help serve food, but I know a guy who needs help gutting houses. And so we got hooked up with that fellow, and he eventually hooked us up with Rick Hatfield, and Rick helped direct a lot of our efforts. Our church from Lapeer got a grant from the International Disaster Emergency Services, an organization based out of Indiana. And they provided grant money so that our church was able to buy building materials for the flood victims. And so we would then in turn use our volunteer efforts to install that building materials and help people back from a real need that they have, you know. And so it's just been a walk every step of the way, you know, with doing that and trying to follow the Lord Jesus in what He says. And so we saw a need, and the Bible tells us that if we see a need, we're to fill it if we can.
Well, you've certainly felt it.
Yeah.
And Rick is from the Cleft of the Rock Church down here.
Rick Hefty.
And
Yeah.
they've been a big help to me too.
It's a great story. In every way, it's a great story.